We've run dozens of operations across the metro area in the last 2.5 weeks, and DEA alone has encountered over 90 arrests during that time. These are 10 of the most significant. We wanted to show you these because you don't want these folks to be your neighbors, right? These people are involved in serious drug distribution or aggravated robbery. Some are wanted in their foreign countries for kidnapping, some child sexual assault. So we wanted to highlight that a lot of the people being taken into ICE custody and that are being targeted by DEA investigations are serious criminals. So of the 90 people in the last couple of weeks, a number of those folks were tied to TDA, both from the nightclub a few weeks ago and from some of the activity we've done in subsequent operations. But about 10 days ago, we also took 130,000 fentanyl pills off the streets from Sinaloa cartel affiliated targets. We had almost 100,000 deaths across the United States in the last year from drug poisonings. And so we're seizing a lot of meth, a lot of fentanyl still. But I do think that this new push, this new surge, this new collaboration by the federal agencies is going to do a couple of things, right? It's going to keep some of these folks who are in our community selling drugs, they're going to go home, so they won't be selling drugs anymore. So there's less people that the cartels can use to sell those drugs. And also because the border is going to be tighter and more controlled, fewer drugs are going to be able to make it up here. So overall, we're going to have a safer community. We're seeing, you know, that the gang Tren de Aragua being, they are affiliated with the Sinaloa cartel. We know they're obtaining fentanyl from the Sinaloa cartel. So we're seeing sort of these criminal groups that are coalescing and working together. TDA, or Tren de Aragua, started as a Venezuelan prison gang, and they essentially have spread all across South America, and they're in a number of countries, and they're involved in a whole host of crimes. Here in the Denver area, they're involved in drug trafficking at large levels, weapons trafficking. You saw the videos from the apartment complex in Aurora. Prostitution, human trafficking. At the nightclub we went to, prostitution was pretty rampant at those events, and they would bring in prostitutes every weekend from someplace. So they're involved in a whole host of crimes, and they're also connected to their colleagues that are Tren de Aragua in South America. So if they need a certain type of drug, they have a guy in Chile or Peru that they can call to get that and ship it right here to Denver. We've seen a lot. Obviously a lot of Venezuelans. But we have a number of Hondurans here. We have some El Salvadorians. We've Guatemala. We've had some Mexicans, Cubans. We've had one guy from Italy, one guy from Romania. Really, all you know, mostly from Central and South America. But we've had a couple of other random foreigners mixed in there as well. Dave talks to the grandmother, and she's probably illegal. She only speaks Spanish. But we didn't care about that because we weren't there for her. Right? She was so happy to see us because she had been robbed twice in that apartment building. Her car had been stolen. Her daughter and her grandbaby lived down the hall, and they were afraid of all these drug dealers and all this violence happening. And they were so glad to see, speaking in Spanish to my agent, so glad to see some cops there doing something about it. And it made such an impact on us. It was huge. Well, listen, when I first got here, people didn't want to talk about TDA. I don't really know the reasons behind that, but saying the words TDA in law enforcement or political circles in Colorado was like saying a four-letter word in church. And for whatever reason, people wanted to act like they were non-existent here in Colorado. But then my agents kept telling me that there was something there. And then shortly after I arrived, the guy seized 12 kilos of fentanyl from a TDA member coming across the mountain. And once that happened, that was sort of a bellwether moment for us. And we knew that we needed to really focus more resources on investigating them. And that's what we've done. And so we not only have gone in depth into their drug trafficking network, but we are working with other state and federal counterparts on the human trafficking piece, the gun trafficking, and started to illuminate the entire organization. And Sarah, this is not a nightclub where you're going to drive by and see the neon light and say, I'd like to go have a beer there tonight. This is invite only by serious gang members that are carrying guns. We did indeed find guns in there. We found drugs in there, a lot of money. Some of the drugs and the money are in the photograph there. And so they would spread the word on where the party was going to be and what time. The parties only start after 2 a.m., by the way. And so I think we executed our search warrant on the party about 5 a.m. But you have to know somebody that's part of TDA to even be on the invite list. And they spread that on social media. They might hype it up by hiring a DJ from somewhere. And then people start rolling in. And let me just be clear. People coming to that party and all the other TDA parties that we were surveilling over the last several months were not immigrants who just come across the border trying to find a job in construction, send money home to their family, right? These folks were in designer clothes, they had drugs, they had cash, they had guns, they were driving Mercedes G-Wagons. These were criminals. I think we're going to see some people stay because maybe they have no other way to go home. Especially for the Venezuelans, they can't just cross the border with Mexico and be home, right? So it's a little more complicated for them. I think we're already seeing them hiding, to your question. When we did the warrants in Aurora last week, we didn't find as many TDA members as we wanted to. That's because they know we're looking for them and they're on the run. But guess what? We're looking for them everywhere we go. So I've been in law enforcement with DEA for 22 years, and I've never seen cooperation like this before. Part of it is because the new administration has told us to get rid of all the hurdles, right? Nothing stands in our way from achieving the goal of keeping Americans safer. And they are requiring us to work together, and we're happily doing it. Americans want safer communities, right? And I can tell you that when he says an army of good to defeat the evil, I feel like that's what we're doing, right? Some of these people are evil, child sexual predators, right? Fentanyl distributors that are killing our kids, that's evil. It's pure evil. And so we're going to use every tool in our toolbox to go out and find these people and either put them in custody in the state or federal prison system or send them home.